gobyerno. But in the meantime, ito nga si
On the
Pharmally.
record,
Actually,
Mr. Chairman, there was no offer by local manufacturers during that time because they were not yet existing.
Boom! Butata itong si Senator Risa Hontiveros sa naging sagot nitong si Atty. Lau. Paano ba naman kasi mga kababayan? Bakit mas alam nyo pa sa nag-procure ng PPE? Pero bago po natin panoorin yung video na yan ni Atty. Lau, kung bago lang po kayo sa page update, huwag nyo po kalimutan mag-subscribe at i-click ang bell notification button para lagi po kayong updated sa ating mga reaction video na kagaya nito. At para naman sa mga solid viewers natin dyan, maraming salamat po sa patuloy na pagsuporta sa page update. Hay na nga no mga kababayan, nagrinig naman natin sa pambungad na sagot nitong si Secretary Lau dito kay Risa Hontiveros na talagang hindi kayo uubra sa katotohanan dahil sinasabi na ni Atty. Lau ang katotohanan. Bakit ayaw niyo pong maniwala? Para sa buong detalye mga kababayan, sabay-sabay natin panoorin ang napakagaling na mga sagot nitong si Secretary Lau dito kay Risa Hontiveros.
Thank you, Sen Kiko. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Attorney Lau,
Yes.
so just to continue walking through what might have been a typical decision-making process nung panahon ninyo, no? So sabihin natin na impress kayo sa sample ng N88 mask na naka-attach sa sulat. Professional ang dating sa inyo. Mukhang well-connected naman sa China. Kaya sige na nga, masubukan lang. Bigyan na lang natin ng 8 billion pesos na kontrata. Ganun ba yung sequence of events dyan?
No, that is inaccurate and misleading, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
The letter that they sent is a letter of intent. The offer is 900,000 pieces of face masks on hand. Previous to that, we were able to buy only since March 9 until March 16, only 50,000 pieces of face masks in order to supply the entire workforce of the Philippine government. That is the first time. And the second time that we got the same almost offer is from Pharmally, 900,000 face masks on hand. So imagine, is very hard for us to look for the surgical face mask kasi wala nga. May isa nag-offer si New Life, I think only 50,000. The second one is Pharmally and the third one is PhilPharma of 100,000. These are very scant offers of the total demand that we need to supply. We need to remember during this time, there is a clamor from the Senate and there's a clamor from Congress. And in fact, there is a clamor from the medical field that they will stop reporting going to the hospitals if they will not be provided with this important face mask and other PPE items. The burden is
You're getting ahead of the story. You're getting ahead of the story po. Yes. Bago umabot sa point of desperation ng ating healthcare workers to request government for a timeout, merong ding, in response to that clamor, merong ding track record at offer yung mga Pilipinong manufacturing company, not just of face masks, also of PPEs and other COVID products to provide yung kailangan ng gobyerno. But in the meantime, ito nga si Pharmally.
The record, Mr. Chairman, there was no offer by local manufacturers during that time because they were not yet existing.
Attorney Lau, this is the second na in effect nag-argue tayo sa puntong ito. This first happened last year, but I stand by yung sinabi sa ating lahat ng CONWEP, ng Confederation of Philippine Manufacturers of PPEs. They had the capacity and they had the offers. Now let's just talk about Pharmally kasi sila yung eventually pinrocurean ninyo. They didn't have 900,000 pieces of masks on hand at that time. So hindi ba misrepresentation yun?
Madam Chairman, kaya nga I asked them to show proof on March 24 when they sent a letter of intent. Show proof because they're the only ones who are claiming they have it on hand. And they did show proof on March 25.
What was that proof, Attorney Lau?
They brought the items to the office.
Attorney Lau, hindi ba kayo aware at that time na yung Pharmally was undercapitalized and in fact, kinailangan pa nila ng tulong ni Mr. Yang just to make good on that contract of theirs with PSDBM?
But, Mr. Chairman, one, I am not in privy to their personal transactions. Second, it is not my mandate in my office to check those things. It has already been answered several times in these previous hearings that those are not part of the requirements. Ang only requirements namin is the OSS, the mayor's permit, and the ITR. And we're buying it under Bayanihan 1. Those are not required by law. And
Mr. Chairman,
the
I see the
items are
minority leader
delivered.
raising
The
his
items
hand.
are delivered.
Yes. Yes, excuse me, Risa, I hate to
Yes,
interrupt, but
minority leader.
this, Mr. Lau, you know, and in the previous hearings, I confronted you with the law which says you have to look at the financial capacity of the supplier. You admitted that you didn't look at the articles of incorporation. So, and the requirement that you check on the financial capacity of the supplier is found in the law. I suggest that we leave it at that, Ms. Hontiveros, Senator Hontiveros, because we keep on going around this because Lau thinks he's very smart and keeps on denying things which he has already mentioned. So we submit, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The chair agrees with the Senate President, the Senate Floor Leader, and I would like to caution Mr. Lau, do not raise your voice against a lady, especially a
I
senator.
apologize, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
You must
it's
not-
my
don't
biological.
give me any questions. There's
My
no
throat is
explanation for
very-
that kind of conduct.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I really apologize.
You're out of line.
Senator Hontiveros, I apologize.
Go ahead, please.
Salamat
I
kayo,
apologize.
Atty. Lau. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just additional questions about the PGI RT-PCR test kits, no? During your time as executive director of the PSDBM, do you recall, Attorney Lau, having procured BGI RT-PCR test kits at saka din MGI, Easy DNA RNA extraction kits from Pharmaly?
I can recall several items that we procured. I think we have the A-Star Fortitude. I'm not aware of the MGI. I'm aware of the BGI. I'm aware of Sansure. I'm aware of Gene Expert. Several other small volume of other brands.
Okay.
But MGI, I'll have to check. I'm not aware. I think BGI, MGI is the same.
Yes.
I'm not confident.
To remind Attorney Lau, ultimately galing sa parehong manufacturer yan. Kasi ang MGI, subsidiary ng BGI or yung Beijing Genomics Institute. So, kaninong decision din po mag-procure ng BGI at ng MGI kits through Pharmaly? Sa inyo rin bang decision yon?
No, the decision is based either on the offers provided to us or if they have this exclusive distributorship agreement. Sometimes, I think I also have a letter addressed to BGI main in the course of the transaction kasi nung pinadala sa amin ng DOH yan, hindi kasi namin alam where to source it. Just people just come to us, institutions make offers when they offer to supply. Most of them are coming from DOH kasi old suppliers sila ng DOH. The problem we had during that time is most of the offerers, like si Gene Expert offers to us 24 months. 24 months, but staggered. Ang problema namin, hindi natin alam kung aabot ng 24 months ang tawag doon, ang COVID. Some offers like BGI, may restriction, then open kasi minsan sasabihin nila we will offer but you have to help us with the government. Like Singapore, I think A-Star Fortitude, we had a problem. Singapore stopped exportation. China initially stopped exportation. Gene Expert, US stopped exportation. Now, we also have certain restrictions in the localities. Meron silang, what do you call that? Exclusive distributorship rights. Meron silang ganun na contract. So, as PSDBM, we are very cautious on how we deal with the manufacturer without any trouble. So I think I wrote a letter to BGI China through the ambassador of China requesting that we be patched directly at China. But BGI sent us a letter that there's an exclusive distributorship agreement. So we stopped kasi baka magkakaso kami. It's the same process I made with Sansure, but Sansure actually offered to us another supplier, which is from Hong Kong and one from Taiwan. I think they're the ones who's competing with each other. Also with A-Star Fortitude, ginawa ko rin yan through Singapore. Nagpadala din kami ng letter.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
Singapore also
with the
referred to us
permission,
a
Mr.
representative from Singapore who directly supplied to us.
with the
So
permission
depende po
of-
yan, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I will not ask Mr. Lau a question.
Senator Pangilinan, just a moment. Just wanted to correct the misimpression being presented by this witness. He said that Singapore stopped exporting. Actually, we had an offer from Singapore, which is much lower than what you got. And in fact, you got the Singapore brand. Instead of going directly to the Singapore factory, you went to Farmally in Indonesia, which charged you a lot more. Because I know, because we got the same offer, and I have the document right here. So try not to exaggerate your statements, because we can check all your statements. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
Mr. Chairman, may I? I
we
shared
were
the
able to get directly from
manifestation.
versus PTE Limited po.
I am speaking, Mr. Lau.
Oh yes, sorry, I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I share with the earlier manifestation and observation of Senator Vilon that when we ask Mr. Lao all these questions, he will just keep repeating what we believe to be his interpretation, and obviously contrary to what he already testified earlier. In fact, if you will recall, Mr. Chairman, I asked for a matrix, but you said that is not necessary, and I will defer to the chairman's position. But precisely that matrix will just show that in every hearing he contradict. If you put together all that he has said in all these hearings, from one hearing to the other, he contradicts himself. So it's I think already established, and to ask him to further explain will just bring us back to contradiction after contradiction. For the record also, Mr. Chairman, which you said earlier, and may I manifest that marami pa ito. He mentioned earlier about Element, and the data submitted to us by DBMPS will show that Element that has purchased about 7 billion, or was able to deliver about 7 billion pesos worth of purchases from DBMPS, had a capitalization of $10,000 US. So again, the first one had a capitalization of 625,000 pesos, Farmally, and now you have another second company worth 7 billion worth of contracts with $10,000 capitalization. So clearly, the record will show that undercapitalized suppliers and corporations were able to bag billions of pesos worth of contracts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this point, I will concur with the
Let me
manifestation.
explanation here. Here, Senator Pangilinan saying that there's another preferred supplier. Is that correct, Senator Pangilinan? $10,000, and he